Chapter 13 The Secret Riddle. As November arrived, bringing with it icy winds and the first frost, Harry found himself once again in Dumbledore's office for another private lesson. The pensieve stood ready on the desk, its silvery contents swirling mysteriously. "Tonight, Harry," Dumbledore began, his blue eyes serious behind his half-moon spectacles, "we will be delving further into Tom Riddle's past. It is crucial that you understand the man Voldemort once was to comprehend the Dark Lord he has become." With that, they plunged into the pensieve. Emerging in a gloomy London orphanage, they watched as a younger Dumbledore met an 11-year-old Tom Riddle for the first time. The young Riddle was unsettling, handsome, but with a coldness in his dark eyes that belied his age. He showed no surprise at learning he was a wizard, instead seeming to view it as confirmation of his own superiority. "I can make things move without touching them," the young Tom said. "I can make animals do what I want without training them. I can make bad things happen to people who annoy me. I can make them hurt if I want to." Harry felt a chill run down his spine at these words. Even as a child, Voldemort had been cruel and power-hungry. Back in the present, Dumbledore's face was grave. "You see, Harry, Tom Riddle was already using magic against others. At the age of 11, consciously, and with relish. His powers were surprisingly well developed for such a young wizard." "But sir," Harry asked, "why didn't you tell anyone? The Ministry or—" Dumbledore sighed. "I had hoped that Hogwarts would be a fresh start for Tom, that the structure and community might temper his inclinations. Alas, I was wrong." As Harry left the office, his mind was whirling. The young Tom Riddle had been disturbingly similar to the diary version Harry had encountered in his second year, charming on the surface, but with a deep-seated cruelty underneath. Walking back to Gryffindor Tower, Harry couldn't shake a nagging thought. If Dumbledore had recognized the darkness in Riddle so early, why hadn't he done more to stop him? And what did these glimpses into Voldemort's past mean for Harry's own future? Chapter 14 Felix Felicis. As the first Quidditch match of the season approached, tension in Gryffindor Tower reached fever pitch. Ron, in particular, was a bundle of nerves, his confidence wavering with each passing day. On the morning of the match, Harry had a sudden inspiration. Pretending to add something to Ron's pumpkin juice, he let his friend believe he had slipped him some Felix Felicis, the lucky potion he had won in Slughorn's class. The effect was immediate. Ron's shoulders straightened, and a look of determination settled on his face. "Let's do this," he said, his voice steady. The match against Slytherin was a spectacular success. Ron performed brilliantly, making save after incredible save. Gryffindor won by a landslide, and the celebration in the common room afterward was raucous. Amidst the cheering and butterbeer, Lavender Brown suddenly threw herself at Ron, kissing him full on the mouth. The room erupted in wolf whistles and giggles, but Harry noticed Hermione slip quietly out of the portrait hole. Later, when the party had died down, Harry revealed the truth to Ron and Hermione. "You didn't put it in," Ron said in awe. "I only thought I was lucky, but I did it all myself." Hermione, however, was furious. "You could have been expelled for that, Harry." "I didn't actually do it," Harry protested. "I just made Ron think I did." As Ron basked in his success and newfound relationship with Lavender, Harry couldn't help but notice the hurt in Hermione's eyes. The dynamics of their trio were shifting, and he wasn't sure how to navigate these new waters. That night, as Harry lay in bed, his thoughts drifted to Ginny. He had felt an odd swooping sensation in his stomach when he saw her laughing with Dane Thomas. It was a feeling he wasn't quite ready to examine too closely. Meanwhile, in the depths of the castle, Draco Malfoy paced in the room of requirement, his face drawn with worry. The cabinet before him remained stubbornly unresponsive to his efforts. Time was running out, and failure was not an option. Chapter 15: The Unbreakable Vow. As Christmas approached, Hogwarts was transformed into a winter wonderland. Everlasting icicles adorned the banisters of the marble staircase, and 12 towering Christmas trees stood in the great hall, each decorated more spectacularly than the last. Amidst the festive atmosphere, Harry found himself increasingly preoccupied with Malfoy's suspicious behavior. Using the Marauder's map, he had noticed Malfoy's dot disappearing from the map entirely at odd hours. One evening, as Harry, Ron, and Hermione were studying in the library, they overheard a conversation between Madame Pince and Filch that piqued their interest. "And that wretched Peeves has been stealing mistletoe again," Filch was grumbling. "As if we don't have enough to worry about, with students sneaking off to hope knows where." Harry's ears perked up. "You don't think," he whispered to his friends, but Hermione shushed him quickly. Later, in the common room, Harry shared his suspicions. "I think Malfoy's using the room of requirement. That's why he disappears from the map." Ron looked skeptical, but Hermione seemed thoughtful. "It's possible," she admitted. "But what could he be doing in there?" Their discussion was interrupted by the arrival of Slughorn, who was making his rounds to invite select students to his Christmas party. Harry, trapped by the professor's effusive invitation, found himself agreeing to attend. As the party approached, Harry grappled with the question of who to invite as his guests. After much deliberation, he asked Luna Lovegood, whose oddball charm he found endearing. The night of the party arrived, and Slughorn's office was magically expanded and lavishly decorated. Harry and Luna arrived to find a crowd of Slughorn's favored students mingling with various celebrities and distinguished guests. As Harry navigated the party, he overheard a heated argument between Snape and Malfoy. In an empty classroom nearby, "Cannot afford mistakes, Draco, because if you are expelled." "I didn't have anything to do with it, all right? I hope you are telling the truth, because it was both clumsy and foolish. Already you are suspected of having a hand in it." "Who suspects me?" Malfoy demanded. "For the last time, I didn't do it, okay? That Belle girl must have had an enemy no one knows about." Harry's heart raced. This confirmed his suspicions about Malfoy's involvement in Katie's cursing. But before he could hear more, Filch arrived, dragging Malfoy back to the party for gate-crashing. As the night wore on, Harry's mind whirled with new questions. What was Malfoy up to? And why was Snape so interested in protecting him? Certainly, I'll continue with the next part of the story. Chapter 16: A Very Frosty Christmas. As the Hogwarts Express carried students home for the holidays, Harry, Ron, and Ginny made their way to the Burrow. The usually warm and welcoming Weasley home was tense this year, with Percy's continued estrangement casting a shadow over the family's Christmas celebrations. On Christmas Eve, the Minister of Magic, Rufus Scrimgeour, made an unexpected visit, using Percy as a pretext to speak with Harry alone. In the garden, surrounded by gnomes peeking curiously from their snow-covered burrows, Scrimgeour revealed his true purpose. "The wizarding community is clamoring for information, Harry," Scrimgeour said, his lion-like mane of hair ruffling in the cold breeze. "They want hope, reassurance. And you, as the chosen one, could give them that." Harry's eyes narrowed. You want me to be a mascot for the ministry? To tell everyone you're doing a great job? Stringer's tone hardened. It is your duty to stand alongside the ministry, Harry. No, Harry said firmly. My duty is to fight Voldemort. Something the ministry seems to be struggling with. The meeting ended on a frosty note, with Harry refusing to cooperate and Scrimgeour barely concealing his frustration. Back inside, as the family gathered around the Christmas tree, Lupin arrived with news from the Order. Fenrir Greyback, the savage werewolf who had bitten Lupin as a child, was now openly allying himself with Voldemort. But surely Greyback can't convince all werewolves to join you-know-who? Mrs. Weasley asked anxiously. Lupin's face was grim. Fear and prejudice are powerful motivators. Many feel they have no place in wizarding society except under Voldemort's rule. As Harry listened, he felt the weight of the war pressing down on him. Even here, in the warmth and safety of the burrow, the darkness of the outside world was seeping in. That night, as he lay in bed listening to Ron's snores, Harry's mind raced. The minister's attempt to use him, the growing threat of Voldemort's forces, and the mysteries still surrounding Malfoy and Snape all swirled in his thoughts. He knew that when he returned to Hogwarts, he would need to redouble his efforts to uncover Malfoy's plan, to understand Voldemort's past through Dumbledore's lessons, and to prepare himself for the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead. As snow fell softly outside, blanketing the world in white, Harry made a silent vow. Whatever challenges the new year might bring, he would face them head-on for the sake of those he loved and the world he was fighting to protect.